social sciences. Dr. Eric is at the forefront of contemporary research, delving deeply into the intricate relationship between mobility, spatial dynamics, and the transformative influence of information and communication technologies. With a wealth of experience garnered through international endeavors, including significant contributions to projects in Africa, notably Mauritania and Mali, and his tenure as the former head of regional dynamics in South Asia and international relations at CSH New Delhi, Dr. Eric brings a rich experience and insights to our discussions. He led a pioneering project titled Assessing the Development of Amravati, which promises to unveil the complexities of urban growth and socio-economic transformation in this dynamic urban landscape. He also has more than 50 reputed journal publications in the domain of urban dynamics and social sciences. I also need to mention that Professor Eric has been instrumental in forging the MOU between University of Lille, France and SPA Vijayawada. We eagerly anticipate, sir, for your invaluable contributions and your insights into the understanding of contemporary urban dynamics and societal transformations, which can be incorporated as a part of our studio exercise. Furthermore, allow me to outline the agenda for the two-day workshop titled Visioning for the Comprehensive Spatial Planning. Following the inaugural session, Professor Eric will deliver his lecture on the topic on visioning in a comprehensive spatial planning process, succeeded by studio presentations from MURP first year students. After that, we'll break for lunch. We'll engage in visioning exercise for the comprehensive development plan for Mysore city conurbation area. That will be the program for today. Tomorrow, Professor Eric will deliver another lecture titled Chasing the Capital of Andhra Pradesh from Political to Smart City, followed by studio work presentation by B-Plan third year students and visioning exercise for the same batch. Post lunch, MEPM first year students will present their studio work, followed by visioning exercise pertinent to their respective studio. So I request everyone to participate wholeheartedly in these sessions and glean knowledge from the expertise shared. Thank you.
Now I invite Dr. Rajkumari, Associate Professor, School of Planning and Architecture, Vijayawada, to introduce our studio programs and their case areas.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to this visioning exercise for our planning studio exercises on urban planning projects. As we embark on the journey of the shaping the future of our cities, it's essential to understand the significance of having a very clear vision for the planning exercises. Urban planning plays a crucial role in shaping the development trajectory of the cities, influencing the lives of millions of peoples. However, without a well-defined vision, our efforts may lack direction and cohesion. Visioning provides us with a roadmap, guiding our decisions and actions towards a common goal. Today, we gather to envision the future of three significant urban planning initiatives of our studio projects: the Master Plan Studio of Raja Mahendravaram, the Comprehensive Development Plan for Mysore, and the Urban Environmental Planning Studio in Coimbatore. Each of these projects holds immense potential to transform their respective cities, but they require a clear vision to succeed. In the Master Plan Studio for Raja Mahendravaram, the aim is to balance economic growth with cultural preservation and environmental conservation. Similarly, the Comprehensive Development Plan for Mysore seeks a sustainable and inclusive city, addressing various challenges comprehensively. Additionally, the Urban Planning Studio of Coimbatore endeavors to safeguard the city's environmental health and resilience. As we delve into this visioning exercise, let's reflect on the aspirations and priorities of our communities, envisioning the kind of cities we want to inhabit in future. By aligning the efforts and aspirations, we can create vibrant, resilient, and sustainable cities that enrich the lives of all our residents. Let's begin the visioning exercise now. Thank you, sir.
I now request our Director, Sir, Professor Dr. Ramesh Srikonda, School of Planning and Architecture, Vijayawada, to welcome the gathering. Sir, please.
Good morning to one and all. Particularly the workshop, what you know very well, it is visioning of spatial planning exercise, thus taking it our studio work as a base. Especially, I wanted to convey thanks to Professor Eric G to be here with us, and it is going to be an asset. And we have a long association with him. And he was there not only here, now today, and he was there earlier also. He has really shared his immense knowledge, whatever he has got it, to our faculty and as well as staff members and the students, of course. So we really welcome you to this 2 days workshop on visioning in spatial planning exercise. As you know very well, spatial planning is a conscious development and collective integration of several parameters which will be essentially is required for the urban development or humankind, whatever you look at it. Various disciplines like geography, economics, sociology, and even if you look at it, that other disciplines generally we think about the architecture and civil engineering. All other items are very much essentially required where we can focus our spatial planning exercises. Every discipline has got a terrific role to contribute for the development of that particular area, either it is an urban area or urban regional planning point of view. We have to see the things very critically for a sustainable way. That is what one main undercurrent, whatever we are having, like to look at the kind of a conscious and spacious development, what we really aim at. In this dynamic ecosystem of urban development, we have a very like a critical and a crucial role to play. Such role really makes us very stronger and stronger unless you are not in a position to throw a light on different areas and parametric analysis, and then also to think about the kind of approach with the visioning. That is one important area where we have to see all the disciplines has got its own role to play. That too, especially you know it very well, Sustainable Development Goals of 17 talks and gives a lot of insight to us to focus it to make our cities more sustainable and to develop a kind of an ecosystem which will be very much helpful to the citizens of that particular area, and also take that one to the coming 20 years in what way we have to plan it with the phase wise for everywhere. We can review it for every 5 years, the direction what we have given, is it in order or not. Especially a kind of a technology really has taken and changed its erosions, like where we have to go and how we have to get it integrated in our day-to-day life, especially when we really go for the spatial planning exercise. It has got a tremendous role and it is also critical and crucial to look at it. So this particular workshop, the way what I have seen, it is very much interesting and will be helpful, and the Professor Eric definitely is here if we are going to improve our knowledge levels. Thank you very much, sir, once more to you. So we are really amazing that you are here and going to give a nice direction for the visioning of the spatial planning exercise what we have dealt in our studios. And also, of course, the organizers, definitely the way you have selected the topics which will be helpful to our profession, especially we as a SPAV is a beacon for the profession of planning. So we know it very well how we have to take the society by nurturing ourselves to put ourselves in a better platform, to take the profession of planning to a certain level. That's all in your hands. Unless you are not having the focus on different areas, which is essentially required for the comprehensive spatial planning, so that we can, within these 2 days of workshop, we are going to improve our knowledge levels. Thank you very much. Once again, welcome to Professor Eric Ji, and all the best to each and everyone who gathered here to improve their knowledge. Thank you very much. Welcome to this program.
Now I request Director Sir to please facilitate Dr. Eric. So next up, I request our Dean Academics Professor Dr. Arun Kumar Tarafdar SPA Vijayawada to address the gathering. Please, sir.
Good morning to one and all. I would be brief because I am sure we are eager to get into the workshop mode, but 2 points I'll quickly try to say. First is I would like to extend gratitude to Professor Eric, who has been a well-wisher to SPA Vijayawada and a friend to our institute for quite some years, and he has extensive research experience not only in India and rural India but also in Latin America and West Africa on various planning projects. So we are very fortunate to have you, and you all are also to a certain extent fortunate to be able to listen to him over 2 days and get his inputs for your studio. The second quick point I would like to say is about the theme, which is very interestingly curated by the department, envisioning. Generally, we keep a lot of emphasis on analysis and problem solving. That is what happens predominantly in the studios after the field work. But setting the vision is also an equally important thing. And mostly, you would, if you recall, in your previous semesters also, this vision envisioning ultimately ends up into an English language exercise of nicely wording big sentences, complex sentences, whereas that is not the case. Of course, the vision has links with the problems of the city, but there is a concept which we all know of induced development and deduced development. So, mostly we put a lot of focus on deduced development, which is getting deducted or deduced or following what we are finding from the field, the problems. But there are many planners who have formed a vision and then the plan got formulated. Everything else got induced from that. So many of the classic examples are there where the vision set the roadmap. It's not just problem solving. We have to think of the potentials in a place and what the people want, and then there can be something also proposed in a city which is not a problem right now, but it's a hidden potential. So envisioning is important, and you are at the right stage where you have completed field work and you are at the end of your analysis and about to start proposals. This is probably the best time to get into this discussion. So with that, I request all of you to participate actively over the 2 days and absorb and learn as much as possible. Thank you.
I now request our Head of Department Planning, Dr. Prashant Robin, to address the gathering.
So very good morning to all of you. So I welcome you to this 2-day workshop on visioning and a comprehensive spatial planning process. So first of all, I take this opportunity to thank Professor Dr. Eric, University of Lille from France, so for joining us. And it will be a good learning opportunity for all of us to interact with Professor Eric and also to get his insights on the academic exercises that we are working on, the preparation of master plans. So one thing I would like to mention is that Professor Eric is very much aware of the Indian context and planning regulations in India. So that makes us special to interact with him, and he has done a lot of research in Indian context. So I'm sure that his insights and the suggestions that we receive on the studio exercises that we are doing are helpful in refining our vision and also the proposals. So I'm happy to mention that we have entered into an MOU with University of Lille, France, and in the upcoming semester we wish that a few students from SPAV go to University of Lille as a part of the students exchange program, and we are trying to formalize this after this workshop. So we wish to see that our students are in University of Lille next semester, and Professor Eric is helping us on that part. So with this, I would like to thank our Honorable Director for allowing us to do such kind of workshops, and also Dean Academic for his support. So now we'll start with the lecture. So thank you. So let's begin with today's session. So where we'll be having a special lecture by our expert, and then we'll be having an afternoon session where we'll be doing a visioning exercise for first year planning studio. So now I request our guest lecturer, Dr. Eric, to please share his thoughts and insights. So let's start now. What is next lecture? Please.
I need to authorize for opening. Yes. And, now go to history. Go to history. History of what? History. In Chrome. Then you already log in here. Meet. I can use the screen. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Right. What um files? My files there. Then you can directly open um full element. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Thank you all to wait for this time to resolve this small technical problem. At the same time, it's always part of what we are doing with ICT tools, that it's not only a question of uh, a way to share your knowledge and all these things. You are always stick with this small problem. I've never used Google Meet. It's very surprising because in France, my university is using Zoom. Other one are using big blue button on so many other type of tools, but it's always a problem of how to adjust. And the final decision comes from people who are going to solve the problem. So it reminds us that behind ICT tools, you always have people who are able to use these tools. So it will be my first point about this presentation. Second point will be, of course, to thank everybody to be there this morning. I will take a part of your time to share some of the work I'm doing with my students in France, University of Lille, because we are also delivering, making some studio program. And this year we were especially engaged in visioning. So it's very interesting moment that at the same time you have this question in SPAV, and that we have also tried to answer some of these questions with a student. And last but not least, I must thankful all the SPV, honorable director, and all my colleagues who are very kind to receive me and to receive me in this building, and also to afford me a very good accommodation in a nice guest house. And so I'm very pleased to be there again. So it's the fourth time I come to SPAV, so it's a big pleasure for me to be with you this morning. So we are going to start this presentation. So a small word of introduction about this. Visioning and visualizing. When I first read the title of the presentation I have to prepare, I read visualizing. So I say, yes, I am a cartographer, mapper, so it's very easy for me. So I have a second reading, visioning. So I have to go to my dictionary and to complete and to find two definitions. So these are the two definitions I find. Visioning is a process by which a community defines the future it wants. So the most important word here is a community. It's not only one person who is deciding. Through public involvement, communities identify their purpose, core values, and vision of the future. So there is this really important fact that it needs to be a shared vision. And the second definition I find from Robert Shipley, the notion of creating visioning, the notion of creating images of the future to serve as goals and guides for planning decision. So it means that I was reassured. It is the same root, visioning, visualizing. There is the same sense that you need to have a vision. And one way to express this vision is to produce visualizations. So, by the way, visioning and visualizing has not so far as we are going to see in this presentation. So, I will have decided to go for a 4-part plan. Usually in France it's a 3-part plan, thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. But I will go a little bit away from this. It's good for the song? Okay. So I will start with a short story of visioning in planning, and after I will develop more about 3 examples, about 3 studios that occur this year in first-year master student for geography and planning in our university. The case of Normandy display, mapping on regional planning in Normandy, industrial water, 2 visualization tools for a common feature, and last but not least, visioning bioregions, the case of AA river watershed, which are all in France, so you will be able to travel also a little bit to France with this. So, I'm starting with the first part. I will make it as short as possible, just to put a few images in your mind about visioning and in planning. So I will go through images, so I give you immediately the plan, visualizing the city from 3D to 2D and back. The invention of urban planning, I will go quickly because I know that you have courses about this. From visualizing to visioning, and I will finish with visioning in planning is a practice based on sound theory. So, I will start with this image. This image is a painting by an Italian painter, Empoli, from the 17th century. And this painting represents Michelangelo which is coming to see the Pope, Leon the 11th, and is accompanied with other people who are carrying things. So you see, the Pope has a lens in his hand, is looking at from some distance to a plan or a map, and also you see that some head of Michelangelo are carrying a model, a 3D model of what? It's a new church in a convent. So Michelangelo came to the Pope, who is making the decision process to say, yes, your plan is good, or I want to have some change. So, since a very long time, when you want to develop a vision of the future, you need to have some tools to help you to imagine the future. It may be maps, it may be model, so that's the way to present this. Of course, in this case, it's only one person who is going to define the vision, the Pope. So it's not visioning. It's a single individual process. The second image, I'm going to enlarge it. It's another, it's another painter, El Greco, and this is a painting of the city of Toledo. And in this painting, you see a 3D visualization of Toledo. But what is very interesting that there is a young boy, maybe his son, that's what he's writing, it is written about this, the story of this painting, who is holding a 2D map. So it's the time where you have both in Europe 3D visualization of the city and 2D planning. And of course, this story of 2D mapping comes from in Europe from Alberti, who has written a treatise, lessons about how to draw maps on a plane surface. So he was the first to do this, and after some people decided to apply these techniques, and here you have the map of the town of Imola in Italy, and it has been drawn by Leonardo da Vinci. So, you see, from the beginning it's only painters, because at that time there is a strong link between painting and visualizing things. So, after this 2D plan, these techniques evolve, and it's become common for any state, chief of state, a king or whatever it is, to develop this 2D mapping in order to take the control of the future of any city. So in this case is the case of the city of Turin, still in Lille, and you observe that there is a new technique for to defend the city, because in this is a new kind of defense, as they use new tools to put down the defense. They need to make very small and very low, at a lower level. So at the same time in France, there is a development of modeling. So in the 18th century, around Vauban, in France, they decided to build this model, and again we go back to 3D model of towns, in order to know how to defend the city. So all this 3D model has been built by 144 3D model in France, done by French artists makers, and still there is only 15 that has been kept up to today. So, if one day you go to Lille, you can see some of these because in our Palais of Art we have 10 of these models in this place. So these models are very precise. You see, each house has been drawn on after built in the model, and so it's a very good instrument to know how was the city at that time. Of course, this visualization it was not done for the purpose of planning the futures. It was also done to how to defend the city. And only army people have access to this model, and only the king present this kind of model to diplomats all over the world. They were in the castle of Versailles at the beginning. So, this image is also visualization, still today, and it is the city of London before and after the fire of the 17th century, 1666, and we see that after this fire, the city has to be completely rebuilt. This was a common feature in the history of town, and I'm going to take a specific case, the case of the fire of 1725 in Rennes. Rennes is in the ear in France, west of France, and what you see in this is also a map, but this is a vision. Because at that time, when after the city was destroyed by fire, the authorities decided not to rebuild the cities immediately. They have to wait before they have to make a plan of the city, of the new city. And they decided to make this new map with perpendicular street, and it was forbidden for people to rebuild their house before this map was ready. So the map was before the city. So it was the first time that somehow there is this visualization was before the construction of the city. It was only an exception. Usually, people were not doing this for building cities, only if it is ex nihilo greenfield cities. So we have to wait up to the 19th century before we are able to see this kind of mapping. It was the invention of the master plan by Baumeister in Germany, and this invention starts the process of developing planning for a town. Why in the 19th century? Because there was a lot of increase of cities, so they need to control the development of cities. So Baumeister was the first to develop these tools to develop the city. From there, of course, this technique was used for all cities. This is the case of Amsterdam, and it has been adopted by the Athens chart. So after, at the beginning of 20th century, it was a common tool for every planner to use in Europe and everywhere in the world. But at the same time, is it visioning? Who is making this master plan? These are only experts who are building this. You are now trained to become expert. So the question is, who is really deciding for everybody? So of course now we have tools, but how to share these tools? So the story of sharing the vision came from mainly from rural areas in the second part of the 20th century in villages. They try to develop some vision of the future of village with all the community. So they start to create this. You see on the ground there is a kind of map made with very heavy materials. They gather it and they try to draw a map of the village and after to decide what will be the future of the village or the area. So it was this visioning and this idea of participatory planning brought up from the village and after was used in cities. So it was back to cities. So I'm going to jump, for example, this one. So this is a map that has been drawn by people in a small town in Normandy, and they make a mental map, and they discuss what will be the option for the future of the city. So it goes from village to cities. So nowadays, of course, in every planning process, you have to involve citizens. And, for example, I take the case of the master plan of Bordeaux in France, southwest of France. You see that they are producing this kind of visualization, and they try to develop a vision of how Bordeaux will grow. But they are going to use a specific semiology for doing these maps. For example, you see there is this gradation in the color from light green to dark green. You have all these arrows. You have all these lines, but they are not very precisely defined. It's just to say maybe sometimes we will create a highway or we will develop this area. And this semiology is specific for discussing with participants because in this kind of maps, you don't want to have strict rules already defined. If you want to discuss with people, it must be open. So that's the story of this process of developing this visualization tool. So I finish with this. I borrow this list of questions from Robert Shipley on his article "Is Visioning Planning is a practice based on sound theory?" And he questioned the fact that we are using visioning in planning, but is there any theory behind this usage? So he's asking this 10 question, and he goes through the literature to try to answer to this question. So I'm not going to go through the 10 questions, but I will send it to you so you can keep this question in mind in order to focus on all of this. For example, if I take only one, 6, a strong and shared community vision is possible to articulate. Is it really possible to build a future with everybody and to finalize one vision? Or is there not always conflict between different vision and different future? That's the question. So it's one of the 10 questions that I have here. So in order to try to answer to this question, we have made some different experiments this year in my university. And the first of these is Norman display. Norman display is a mapping process about regional planning in Normandy. First of all, I don't know exactly if you know where is Normandy. So that's why I put a map. So this is where is Normandy in France. This is where the Norman people conquest a lot of countries, including England. So it means later on, little bit also India, and coming back after to UK. But, and Normandy is also well known for the overload operation in 1944 when the Allies delivered Europe. They landed in Normandy, so that's why Normandy is well known. So, in this region, it's a new region that has been built in 2016. So they decided to build a plan, which is the name in French is STRADET. In English, it's approximately Regional Planning, Sustainable Development, and Territorial Equality Scheme. Okay? So you have the front page of this STRADET, of this planning process, and the question is, it is in French, I translate, which Normandy for tomorrow? So they are speaking about what will be our future, okay? So what will be the future of Norman people? So they have developed a process to implement this planning. So it starts in December 2017 and it go up to second semester 2019. So it takes 2 years to develop a comprehensive planning with some participatory process with the people. So this is the result. So what they brought, they have to address compulsory topic to develop this regional planning. I'm not going to go through all these items, so but you recognize some of these items like water prevention and management, energy management and recovery and all these things, climate change. And they have to implement it now, after 2020, in the Normandy region. And they have developed a synthetic map of all these proposals, so that's how Normandy will develop if the plan is implemented. Okay? So, the purpose of the studio with our student was to build a tool in order to share the vision of the regional planning tool with all the inhabitants of Normandy. So they developed a tool, the name is Norman Display, and they use the techniques of mapping, but not cartography, mapping. What is mapping is when you are making video projection on a surface like a temple, a church, or a monument. So this is the Cathedral of Rouen. With one of this mapping, it has been developed for tourist purpose, mainly. So, they have developed a tool, Norman Display, to use this. So I'm going to show you the tool. There is a short video in French, but I'm sure that you are going to understand the purpose. Three functionalities. So you can share video, photo, animation. So the most functionality is with the tablet. So drawing appear on the platform. How to draw territories. And the last function is about data warehouse. So you can add data on the map. Mobile mobile things. So that's the tool. So this is the end of this small movie. So we have a QR code, so you can go, you can see by your own. It will be in French, huh? But by the way, I think you can understand what they are doing. So this process, these tools, normal display, is used to discuss with people about what are the best solutions for the region. So the group of students have to build one of the stories that you have seen, combining video on mapping, and to do the specific technique of mapping on a 3D surface that you have been during the video. So they organize a benchmarking of participatory process in France. They organize a focus group to discuss how to use the model. And they also try to develop their own video mapping technique during this exercise. The second studio we use the same kind of tool, but with another subject, is about industrial water in north of France. So they work with the urban planning agency of Dunkirk. You know Dunkirk, there is a film about how people left France to go back to UK. So this is the place. So Dunkirk is north of France, and it is a special region because it's a low-lying area. So you have a lot of canal system to try to put water out of the place. So this is the name is Watrange. So one of the problems of Dunkirk is to evacuate water. So this group study industrial water. You have three kinds of water. One is drinkable water. Second one is industrial water. Third one is surface water. Means that water running on the surface. So industrial water is extracted from the network and it is used in factory for their production process. Okay, so there is a specific network of these things. So, for example, for ArcelorMittal, there is one foundry in Leclerc which is owned by Mittal. So they are using seawater, they are using industrial water, but they are also using drinkable water in their process. So this water is distributed through a network which is in green in this area. Color square are one factory. So it's a big industrial area. The question is how to share water between all these stakeholders. So, to find a solution, they have already developed one solution, visualization solution. The name is Water Canvas. It's a graph of network which explains how the water is moving from one place to the other. So this is the tools, and all the links are how the water is moving from one place to the other. Okay? So, but this is a very complicated tool. It's for experts and specialists. So what was the job of the students? Was to propose to use another tools to make understand to everybody how they can use industrial water and what are the link between industrial water and normal water. So they develop this same tools as the previous one, but more mobile, where you have two screens, one for maps on a 3D model, on one you can send whatever you want on the first screen. It may be image, it may be a photo, it may be whatever you want. So the students develop this studio. First, they do mental mapping with stakeholders to understand what are the links between the different stakeholders in the area. Second, they make a test of the tools they are using. And third, they create one scenario, one film, using these tools in order to communicate with all the people in the region. So in this process, you see that the students are at the beginning of the process of discussing with all the stakeholders. Previously, the regional response is already decided. It's just communication. Here, it is the beginning of the process of how to imagine a future for the water in this part of the area. Okay? Third one, and I will finish. So you see some of the job that they have done. First, the results, some mental mapping. Second, they collect data to put in the system, TCR. And third, they build this multimedia mapping. I have no time to show you the result, but I can share this with you. Last case, it's about how to discuss a new concept, bioregion. So for this studio, we are also working in the same area. You see, we are working in the AA River watershed. So it's nearby Dunkirk. This is the AA River. And this year, 2024, we have huge flooding in this area. 4 times in the same year, they are flooding. Because it is a low-lying area, so each time it's too much rain, it starts to be flooded. So it was very important to discuss with the people how to handle, how to tackle this problem of flooding and to find a solution for this area. So the question was more a theoretical question. How far the concept of bioregionalism is relevant to go through the transition process? How is it possible to maybe delineate a bioregion with the inhabitants? So it was a kind of applied research with the students. So I will skip bioregionalism because time is running. You can go through and you'll see exactly what it is. Basically, is to try to use bio dimension to define what are the limit, the size of a region. So it may be at different scales, local scale, medium scale, or a full region like Normandy, why not? So the purpose of the studio was to delineate the AA bioregions, if it is possible. So on why we use a watershed, because a lot of bioregionism studies are based on watershed. So we decided to use these tools and to see if it is possible to build it. So I'm not going to detail all the process. I keep only 4 parts. So the first part of the studio was to produce scientific maps of the region, because the idea was to organize a focus group with stakeholders to broaden these maps, and they can on their own decide what will be the extent of the bioregion. So the students start to collect data, make the maps. They organize a seminar to filter the relevant variables with the stakeholders, not alone. Third, they learn how to manage a focus group, because like you, maybe before doing one, you don't know how to do it. So they have technical training. And last, they organize a focus group, but it was impossible to work with the inhabitants because the issue was too sensitive. With all this flooding, people were not really want to discuss with experts on scientific. They say, no, first we have to take care of our house, and after we will discuss. So first, we organize another meeting with experts to try to define the bioregion. So this, I will go quickly with all this. So first step, showing the maps. Second steps, good. Okay. So second step, skill improvement for the students. This is the group of the students at the University of Rouen doing the job. Organizing the focus group. So we have the map that we have produced for this focus group. So there is 4 thematic: topography, watershed in one part, water management, second stand, first stand, land use on agricultural development, and last one, first one, so I skipped one. There is a fourth one. So what people do during this focus group, they use a plastic they put under the map, and they decided what variables they want to keep to define a bioregion. So they're using scientific knowledge to delineate the bioregion. So this is the result of the work. So they make some maps directly on the plastic board, and they go in each stance, and after they build what you have here, a map. It's not a mental map, but it's a map. And they also make some comments, so we take also all the comments. So you see that the result is very different. Some people have a style of mapping, other people have another style of mapping. They don't keep the same scale, so the result has to be analyzed. So yes, this is the fourth part, first one, biodiversity management. So to understand what people want to define as a bioregion, the student made a comparison of each production. For example, here, you see that for the same variables, biodiversity management, each team has selected different variables. So team 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so after you have to compare all this production and to say if there is any way to make a common vision of all this proposal. So this was only the starting point of the project. So the students have made their maps, and now the NGO which is dealing with this process is going to use these maps for other focus group and develop more focus group in order to define if there is any possibility to define AA bioregion. AA is the shortest river in France, 89 kilometers. So that's why you selected it. And it is enough for France, so it's been very nearby. So you see with these three examples that the visioning process occurs at different steps. First one, it was more communication. Second one is it was more about building a future, discussing with different stakeholders, with one very technical tools. And the last one, that was just there, was more about how maybe to change the boundaries of the region, to make a new proposal. So they are very different process, but the purpose is the same. Is it possible to define a common vision? Or you have to go to see the people to do this. You can do it in your room, decide all, because that's the main purpose of visioning. If you develop, I'm going to back to the question. Yeah, I'm going back to the 10 question. If you want to have a future in common, you need to build it in common. You can't decide from top-down perspective, you have to go bottom-up. So that's what is on my mind, visioning, is to build something from bottom-up, not from top-down. That's all. There is a Q&A session.
The stage is now open for Q&A session. I request the students to please come forward with their questions to Dr. Eric if they have.
Yes? Yes? Louder, please. Yeah. So, yes, I'm going to answer the first question. So, I go back to this one. So, yes, the water canvas is not built to delineate a region because in the second case, these regions are already delineated. It means that it is there is one area, yeah, this maps. You see here, you have Dunkirk town. After you have commune of Dunkirk, and you have all these layers, and this in each you have one authority which is deciding what to do for water. So here the question was not how to delineate the region, was how to engage people to understand what is industrial water, and also industrial water can't go alone because you have only one source of water, raining, and after you have to share the water between industry, drinking water, on all this purpose. So the question was more about how to help people to understand the main difficulties to manage water in this area, which is very specific because all the water comes from other place. So, and also, I don't have time to explain that in this area we have new factories which are coming up with big factory building electrical battery, for example. it will use a lot of water, so they need to imagine how they are going to change the level of consumption, who is going to restrict itself, and who is going to use more. So the purpose of the model that they use was to engage a communication between all the stakeholders to try to find a solution. Up to now, we are at the beginning process of this. So because it was just the first step of the process. So up to now, they have not made decision. Only the fact that it was maybe very difficult. This water canvas is very difficult to understand. It's too complicated. If you give this to anybody, it will take so many times to understand. So they want to build a more simple tool to go to inhabitants, to go to people who are decision makers. So that was the purpose of the model they use. Thank you. Yeah. Oui. You go to quickly for me. I know that I will take some notes. Yes, so first question is about?
I was talking about participatory planning.
Yeah.
Can you explain about skill improvement managing focus
Yeah.
and the fourth point, expert focus group participatory mapping?
So I will start with the second point about enhancement of skill. Of course, when you are a master student, you have never been in this real life of organizing focus group. So in our university, we have one team which is dealing with this. So they organize a seminar. So this group of students went to this seminar and they discussed how they are going to organize things. That was the first level. After they came back to us, because we know we have already organized a focus group, so we share our experiment with them. And last step was to do one. So we went to the city of Saint-Omer with a third group, and we imagine a way to handle the situation. And after they take some note in order to improve again the process. But what was very important for the NGO who pay for this studio, because they give money for this. So it was that at the end of the process, they have a ready-made process to organize more focus group on their own. So that's what students have done at the end. They have made a refined processes that they have shared with the NGO in order to organize the other focus group. The first one was about participating mapping. Yeah? Yes, so participating mapping, you have very various forms. One is, for example, mental map. The other one is what the last group has done. You see, in this case, what they are using, the base map is the scientific level. You put plastic paper sheet on this, and after the participant stakeholders can choose whatever information is important for them. So by this way, you can have an idea of what is important and what is the extent of the information they want to keep. The third possibility is the one used in the video because with normal display, they have an electronic tablet, so people can select items directly in the database to add their own variables, and also they can draw with the tablets directly on the screen. So it's an interactive tablet, but this, of course, it's a long process to build this kind of tools. So you need technician, engineers, and people like this who are able to fit all these tools all together. So it's more complicated to handle. So the purpose of the work of the student was not to design all the things, because the normal display model is already working well. It was just to propose a new usage of this tool with the SRABET regional plan and how to communicate this regional plan to other people. And the first question was the last one. Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much, Professor Eric, for giving the presentation on comprehensive spatial planning with examples, wonderful examples. I think here the vision is a vital and key component of development plan. Right? So we have undertaken the studio exercise for the preparation of comprehensive development plan for conurbation city and conurbation for 2040 projected year 2043. So we have done a systematic review of Mysore with the various systems, and we try to understand sectoral functional integration of various sectors. We are now going back to get your valuable input, going back for framing a vision. Of course, the vision statement culminates in the creation of development policies, policy formulation, land use plans through planning intervention for the future cities. So we are going back. I think Professor Eric is a geographer planner. He will be getting much more valuable input for our studio exercise, and we will be framing based on his input. We will strengthen our vision statement. I think for this presentation. Thank you very much, Professor.
Now we will start with the presentations. I request MURP first years, the planning students, to please present their work on Mysore city.
Hello. Hello. Sir, just to brief before we start presenting, this is a group of 24 students, MURP first year, second semester. This is a group of 24 students, and then they have taken this doing a studio project on comprehensive development plan for Mysore city and conurbation area, which is coming around to be somewhere around 292 square kilometers. So there was first a literature study was done on the existing master plan document, which is still enforced till 2031, and then after the literature study, we went on to the site area and spent somewhere around 12 to 13 days on the site, and we have collected the primary and the secondary data. There were primary surveys which included household surveys, transportation surveys, tourism surveys, etc. And then the issues have been identified based on analysis of the data that has been collected. And after that, key areas where the focus needs to be there and what should be the ideas for the further plans has been identified. That is where we are currently there, sir. And coming to this, the way that the studio has been conducted, we have taken up a systems approach. That is, we have tried to divide all the domains of a master plan as such into different subsystems, which includes physical subsystem, social subsystem, and then we have institutional subsystem, we have transportation subsystem, then we have infrastructure, which includes physical infrastructure, social infrastructure, housing infrastructure, and then we had economy subsystem, and also the final one is environment subsystem. So the students will be presenting their work subsystem wise. Moving forward, since we have a limited time, we have chosen very specific analysis that we have done to present it here, sir, which we can take it forward for the further detailed discussions in the post-lunch session. Each of the subsystems would be discussed by and presented by one of the students from each of the subsystems. Yeah.
So, good morning, sir. So, I'll be presenting this physical subsystem, the analysis that we have done. So, basically, we have identified the study area, the hierarchy of the study area, and we have also the land use for 2011 and 2024 we have done, and we have analyzed what are the major differences in the land use. And then we have analyzed the LULCs of 3 decades, that is 2001, 2011 and 2024. And we've analyzed the change detection mapping, in which we have identified what land use has changed into what over the years. So this is the land use land cover of the 3 decades and the change detection from 2001 to 2024. And then we have continued with Shannon Entropy Index, in which we have analyzed the areas that have more heterogeneous nature. So Shannon Entropy is basically that gives us the heterogeneous character of areas. The darker areas are more heterogeneous, in which and the lighter areas are kind of more less heterogeneous, that is towards homogeneous. And then we have also analyzed the activity-based land use concentration, in which this map speaks about the predominant land use character in the wards and villages. And then we have proceeded with the growth analysis, in which we have overlaid the land uses of 2001, 2011, 2024, which we have divided the quadrants, and we have analyzed in which direction exactly the growth is going on. And then we have done the predicted land use land cover, in which we have We have taken the land use land cover data of the 3 decadal years using satellite imagery, and using the MOLUS tool, we have analyzed it, the predicted land use and land cover. Next, we have continued with land carrying capacity, in which we have analyzed that in the MCC area and in the village area, what is exactly the land carrying capacity in the Mysore conurbation zone. And then finally, in the land use, in the physical subsystem, we have concluded with findings and potentials in our analysis, in which the findings are, we found more sprawl development and absence of the industrial and commercial distribution according to the land use. And we have found agricultural encroachments, like the agricultural land were encroached, and more of transition of land use activities due to conversion of land uses. And then potentials are, it can be potent, the conurbation area, we found it to be potent for smart growth strategies, and zoning, and we can also incorporate the zoning regulations, and also industrial and commercial development for future growth in a guided way.
Under social subsystem, we have evaluated various socio-economic factors of the conurbation area. So our conurbation area constitute of MCC and neighboring 81 villages. It has a population of 10,84,000 as per latest census of 2011, with a density of 3,700, with major population being concentrated in the urban region with a population density of 10,500. Factors like sex ratio and literacy rates are above the national average. It is observed that the urban region has a better value of sex ratio and literacy rates comparing with neighboring rural areas. There are exists 988 females for every 1,000 males, and literacy rate is around 78%. Around 22% of the population comes under marginalized communities, which are unevenly spread across the conurbation region. And considering working population under primary sector, we have very less people working under primary sector, which is around 6%, which is majorly concentrated in the outer regions of the conurbation boundary. And we have around 41% of working population, which has very less disparity among the urban-rural boundaries. Comparing the age-sex pyramid, we analyze that age-sex pyramid has an expansive or growing population, which creates opportunities, potential significant demographic changes, which creates demand for resources, change in workforce composition, and challenges in providing adequate infrastructure and services to support the growing population. We have evaluated the population projection based on the available data from 2001, 2011, and 2021, 3 decadal data. Based on that, we have evaluated using 4 methods, which are arithmetic method, geometric method, incremental method, and exponential method. The growth rates of these methods are then compared with the available secondary growth rate data of 26.8. The one with the less percentage error, which is incremental increase method, has been chosen to predict the 2044 population, which comes around 22 lakh and 36,000 for 2044. Further, we have to analyze the social characters. We have used indices like ease of living index and inclusivity index, which is formulated by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India. Firstly, we have evaluated ease of living index based on 3 pillars, which are quality of life, economic ability, sustainability, along with a citizen perception survey. We have found out the score to be 72.8 out of 100, which is better than national average. In all aspects, it performs better than the national average. And there is a larger deficiency in the economic ability of the cities, which is scored nearly 16 out of 100. And nextly, we have evaluated inclusivity index, which is to evaluate how inclusive the city is for vulnerable groups. We have considered 6 pillars. Out of that, it is starred 2 out of 5, and it has a better performance in infrastructure and urban mobility, and has a deficiency and need to improve in sector IT connectivity and digitalization for inclusivity. Thank you.
Hi everybody. So moving on to the transportation subsystem. So first looking into the road hierarchy, we have analyzed how much percentage of roads is actually present in inside the city and the conurbation. So according to that, arterial road has 4% of roads, and subarterial has 1%, and collector road has 4%, and 91% of the roads were local roads. But according to URDPFI, there must be 25% of transportation infrastructure inside city. It is understandable that it must be improved, and also the Mysore city and conurbation has one inner ring road, intermediate ring road, outer ring road, and the peripheral ring road. So peripheral ring road is actually in proposal to avoid the major congestion in the central business district. So moving on to the road density, as we can see, the peripheral areas of the city has more dense, and also the density is very less. So more road network and the infrastructure must be proposed in the peripheral, which is like the conurbation area, the villages. And moving on to the traffic volume count. So we have referred the IRC standards, and we have actually surveyed 6 roads inside the city and 6 roads in the conurbation area. So according to the Mysore Urban Development Authority, we have got the peak hours. So it was around 8:30 to 10:30 and 4:30 to 6:30. So around this peak hours, there were surveys conducted, traffic volume count conducted, and we have identified the capacity. So according to the standards, the Albert Victor Road and the Ashoka Road has low level of service, which indicates there must be certain proposals made in those areas like road widening or be it like that. And moving on to the vehicular growth, we have got the data from the Parivahan website, and the registered vehicles, as we can see, the two-wheelers contribute higher vehicular growth is there. And this was done with 2 major methods, the trendline method and the AHP. And moving on to the network indices, we have network indices is basically to understand how transportation infrastructure, how well the roads are connected, how well the edges are, how well it is. So we have done the alpha, beta, and gamma. So according to the rating, alpha must be under the 0 to 1, and beta must be 0 to 3, and gamma 0 to 1. So as we can see here, everything is actually quite good, and the rating is above near good value, like which is alpha is 0 to 1, but the rating is 0.98, the value is coming. So it is identified the infrastructure is quite good. And coming to the modal shift and projected vehicular growth, the population for 2024 has been taken into consideration, and that related to that proposals is to be made. So the coming back to the desire line diagram, it is understandable that most of the trips are made towards the center of the city, and which leads to maximum congestion inside the CBD area. So like because even coming to the transport infrastructure, like you have city bus stand and also the intercity bus stand and also the private bus stand. All these three bus stands are coming in the CBD area, which adds more congestion in those areas. And this is the parking accumulation we have identified. So according to this, in the Devraja URS road, there are more car parkings, the car parkings are more, and the Sayaji road, we have two-wheelers are quite more, and in Ashoka road, again car parkings are more, and we have also identified from Ganapati road. So moving on to the public transportation. So there are around 7 bus terminals in the city, and there are 4 operations: city bus services, suburban services, ordinary, and city Volvo. So there are 4 depots, and the number of schedules is 466, and the kilometers are operated around like 12,000 kilometers, and the trips are 5,954. Average frequency of the buses are 5 minutes. We have calculated the terminal calculation. So in case for the future, if currently there are around 68 buses that is coming to the city bus stand. So in case if all the 68 buses are going to come at the same time in the near future, so what will be the required area? So currently there are 2 acres of land in the city bus stand, and in case if it is going to be after doing the calculations, it is understandable that it needs more. So the expansion has to be made. We have analyzed, and we have actually calculated the public transport accessibility level index. We have took a major stretch in the central business district, and we have analyzed the PTAL. So the red indicates the higher accessibility for the public transportation. To improve the public transportation, what all can be made is analyzed by this. So in the central business district only, we have major congestions, and the parking and the pedestrian conflicts are happening. So we have to provide this is why, because there are around 466 buses in Mysore, and out of all these buses, only 7 buses are actually traveling from like the attraction zones to the production zones. But apart from the 7 buses, all the buses are traveling to the central business district where the city bus stand is located, and people have to take another bus to go to the suburban areas. So that is one of the major problems that we identified. And we have done the service level benchmarking details also as per MOUD, and the level of services actually it is quite average. In case of like the percentage of presence of organized PT system, but the extent of availability of PT is very low. The 4 number indicated is very poor. And coming to the service level benchmarking for ITS, which is Intelligent Transport System, Mysore was the first one to implement ITS system, and they have the passenger information system and the global positioning system is very quite good, but the availability of traffic surveillance or the signal synchronization and these details must be improved with this data we analyzed. And also the breakdown of public transportation system is quite low, and the multimodal facilities, the IPT system is also quite low. The grade is low. So coming to the financial sustainability of public transportation, the extent of non-fare revenue. So non-fare revenue is basically the fare that is got apart from the money, like from the buses. So like in case if you're going to give some vendors, or you're giving spaces for the vendors, to have the shops or something. The revenue that got from that is quite very low, which is very poor. And the major issues and potentials identified by the transportation system is the vehicular pedestrian conflict that is happening in the CBD area, and also the auto stand is just beside the CBD area, which leads to more conflicts around that area. And coming back to the potentials, introducing, like we thought of introducing some congestion pricing to reduce parking. So in the peak hours, we can introduce congestion parkings and promoting mixed land use. So as I told earlier, people are traveling to the CBD area because there are more commercial spaces in the CBD area. So why not introduce some mixed land use in the other residential zones to satisfy their needs in those areas itself, so they don't have the need to come back to the CBD area. So it automatically reduces the congestion. So then implementing the monorail system also was one of the proposals that we have considered. But monorail system is already there in the proposals in the master plan report. So this is what we have analyzed from the transportation subsystem.
So, sir, to start with physical infrastructure, so we have covered the basic amenities like water supply system, sewerage system, solid waste management, power supply, and energy system. So, looking forward to the water supply system, basically the whole study area covers two originations. So, first is that northern river, and second, if we look, the second river is at the south. So, basically, the whole water supply network. So the whole water supply network is decentralized into seven WTPs. So three of them are originating from the above one, and one is originating from the below one. So then we did this comparative analysis from the SLBs. So if we look forward to the SLBs, they covered the water supply connections in the households, like is it efficient or not. So when we did that analysis, basically as per SLB, we need to make sure that the water connections is 100%. But if we look at it, we got to analyze that in the MCC area, it is 92%, while in the village, only 30% this door-to-door water supply connection is available. So that issue we rectified, that in villages it is not working that properly. So if we have to come up with the proposal that will make sure that villages also get the proper efficiency. Now, second SLB that covered was per capita supply of water, which is around 135 LPCD according to it. But in the core area, we have observed that it is around 186. So they are giving more than it is provided as of now. But in as we are looking forward to years, so then we have to make sure that it is also efficient. Now, further, the third point is the metering, the smart metering of the water connections, which we have observed that it is only 80%, while it should be 100%. So that also we have to come with some kind of a proposal for smart metering of water connections. Now the fourth one is the continuity of water supply. Actually, it is a certain kind of issue that we have been rectified in Mysore, that the water supply hours are not that flexible. Like there are some hours in which water supply is not there, and we conducted this household surveys. When we talked to the villagers, we came to know that there are only the water supply is coming for only 2 hours or something, and then they have to manage. So this is a major issue that we have rectified. So further now, moving to the demand and gap analysis. So we did this analysis of 2024 and 2044. So in which we rectified that what is the water demand that needs to be cooperated. So we followed by that. In 2024, we have rectified that there are no major such issues in the current situation. But when we look towards the 2044, there are gaps that we identified. Now further to the sewerage system. If you look forward to, there are 4 drainage districts, A, B, C, D, like they have marked. And further, they have been consigned to 3 locations. Like we have 3 locations where this sewerage system projects are working. Now the total existing capacity is 157.65 MLT. In conurbation area, villages rely on septic tanks for the sewage disposal. Now looking forward to the service level benchmarking, actually the percentage that needs to be 100% again in the coverage of underground drainage network, while it is just 92%. So we have to rectify that and look forward to that. Now the second one is the coverage of toilets. Actually, our Honorable Prime Minister has worked on this project, this toilet projects, that it should be given to all. So Mysore is also leading to that. If we draw the comparison over the other cities and Mysore, definitely it is doing well, but definitely there are some gaps that we need to identify. And it is just 92.33%. So the rest of the gap we'll identify and move forward in our proposals. Now, if we analyze now the sewerage treatment plant gap analysis we followed to understand like how much is the definite gap that needs to be incorporated in our proposals. So if we look forward to it, definitely in 2024 the current situation is not that worse. It is incorporating, but definitely for 2044 we have some things that we need to rectify so that we can give a proposal of augmentation of better septic plants. Now further we did this analysis of stormwater drainage intensity. So this analysis we did based on the road length. For example, in a particular road length, how many drainage systems are required, but how many are there. So basically we understood the gap, the places where it is lacking, and that's why it's creating major issue. So that we have to further look into our proposals. Now coming to the solid waste management part, the comprehensive solid waste management plan delineates a roadmap towards achieving efficient waste management practices tailored to the needs of Mysore. Basically, Mysore is working on many such projects, many such national projects for the solid waste management map. But as I said, for the current situation, it is well, but for the future, we need to be awakened. So we did this analysis of energy potential to rectify the calorific value of the waste generation. And we identified that there are definitely 10 wards that need sudden challenges. They are facing sudden challenges in the energy potential. We need to rectify them and come up with some proposal. Then this is waste generating clusters. If we identify this, there was this decentralized composting that is happening. Basically, it is happening on only some part of that conurbation area. So further, it has to be decentralized, and I believe that in the MCC area, there are a lot of waste generation issues, so that can be only solved if we look forward to the decentralized composting factors. So we identified wards for composting plants in Mysore that we'll incorporate in our proposals part. Further, if we look forward to the service level benchmarks in solid waste management, the household level coverage of solid waste management services are definitely 100%. It is nice to know that we need 100% and Mysore has achieved that. Now the second one, the MSW collection efficiency is 88%. We have to work further on it so that the waste collection process needs to be more rectified, and we need to identify the issues and work forward to it. Now MSW segregation, actually this e-waste segregation policy came back in 2006. So they are working on it, but still it is not efficient. So we have to rectify like how we can proceed with that e-waste segregation also. So it is around 85%, but we have to achieve the 100%. Now if we look forward to gap in energy demand, so basically there are many wards that are facing this high energy demand while we cannot fulfill that. So we can fulfill that as we look forward to proposals. So we can fulfill that by some renewable energy sources. For example, solar energy panels are being incorporated in some specified village-like projects. So that we are looking forward to it, like how we can increase the capacity of the solar energy plants, how we can decentralize biogas energy plants, so that we can provide efficient electricity without harming our resources. So, sir, to conclude with it, I must say, like, basically, we need your insights for making our to strategize more of the techniques, how we can incorporate. For example, I have read like we are using engineered solid waste management, and further there are some kind of solid waste management techniques, water supply techniques that in some cities it is happening, but how can India incorporate that? So we would like to know that from you. Thank you, sir.
So, moving towards the social infrastructure, which includes education, health, and safety facilities. First, getting the overview of social infrastructure and education facilities. So, we identified the condition of education facilities, which are having categories of ownership of. It is divided in four categories, like Department of Education, government, private, and NGO. So we observed that there is a great percentage of private schools, which is 52%, and lesser is of NGO, which is 1%. And according to the categories of education, there are categories based on primary, upper primary, secondary, and higher secondary. So there is a more percentage of primary, upper primary, and secondary, which is covering 35 to 34 to 35%, and which is observed that higher secondary has a lesser percentage, which is 14%, and according to the teacher student ratio, based on that, as a standard, it should be 1:50. So higher secondary and secondary are satisfying the needs, which is the ratio is under 1:50, and there is a need to increase the ratio in as a teachers. There is a need for primary and upper primary, and moving toward the how the social and education facilities have the accessibility. So we did the analysis based on buffer analysis to make it more proximate. We did accessibility for the education facilities. We carried out isochrones analysis, which is a travel time based analysis for the facilities within a particular specific time. How much education facilities which are covered in specific area. So based on that, we divided according to the distance, walkability distance, which is 5, 10, 15 minutes within the MCC limit. And for the village, we followed the guidelines of RADPFI, which refers the distance of 10, 15, and 20 minutes. Based on that, we identified that the isochrones analysis categorized the served, unserved, and overserved areas. So based on that, we got to know within the MCC boundaries, there is a sufficient need and accessibility to the education facilities. There is a need for education, more accessibility in education system for village area for every like primary, upper primary, secondary, and higher secondary. And within MCC, there is a need for more accessibility for higher secondary education facilities. Based on the gap analysis, we identified that present need are satisfied for education facilities. There is a huge need in education facilities for coming 2044 plan. Moving to health facilities. Sorry, I missed one. We also did the knowledge city index as it has some indicators, which are 6 indicators, which include education, economy, innovation, cultural, and tourism sectors. In that, we identified that Mysore has the potential to get it as a knowledge city, but there is a need to increase in cultural education, innovation, and research centers for development and to make it as a knowledge city. Also, in education facilities, there is a potential for as Mysore is rich in cultural heritage, so we can promote, preserve, and improve the art, culture of and heritage of Mysore. In the healthcare facilities, we identified that there is a deficiency of primary, maternity, and multi-speciality and some general hospitals as per URDPFI guidelines. And for safety and security, police station as having a great accessibility. There is a need for fire station in numbers also. And as far in open spaces, Mysore is achieving a great percentage of per capita open space, which is 8 square meters. And as far referring to the URDPFI guidelines, it suggests 10 to 12 square meter per person. So overall, seeing the social infrastructure, there is a need to make it more accessible in education, healthcare, and also for open spaces. There is a need to maintain the open spaces and improving the potential to maintain culture heritage and promote the development for overall social infrastructure. Thank you, sir.
Coming to the housing infrastructure, uh, first map showing the residential concentration of 2024. As we can see, the concentration is highest present highly in the 14 ward, and the least concentration is present in 32 wards. So, and the second map showing the residential density. The residential density is like residential area upon the total ward area of we calculated. So the highest residential density in 31 ward and the lowest residential density is present in 18, 19 and villages also. So, and the third map showing the residential use change from 2011 to 2024. 21. So there is a hike in about 13 square kilometers of the residential area from 2011 to 21. Okay. Coming to the housing shortage. Housing shortage as of 2024 is like 29,313 units is the demand for 2024 as of now. And coming to the housing affordability, this is we have done through the household surveys. Affordability of owning a house is about 43%, and affordability of renting a house, tenant, is about 46%. And this table here shows the affordability, affordable housing as per the standards of MOUH, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So the minimum volume of habitation, provision of basic amenities, and the cost of house and location of house, all are affordable as per the MOHA guidelines. This is the quality of life for slums we did. We took a random 14 slums in the Mysore conurbation area. The methodology we used here, we choose the first parameters for the quality of life, and then we provided scores for each parameter and calculate the composite scores using standard deviation method. And then after that, we have grouped the composite scores into 5 divisions. So the parameters here we used are the nature of the house, like pakka, semi-pakka and kacha, and then source of drinking water, whether it is municipal tap or other connection, solid waste collection, poor or average, and there is a beneficiaries of housing schemes here through PMAY and JNNURMs providing housing for this. So how many beneficiaries are benefited through this? At last we have found that Kesar Usmania block and Almana slum, these two are enjoying high quality of life, and remaining 12 slums are in poor quality. So thank you.
Hello. Now for this economic subsystem, I'll explain the basic economic profile of Mysore. First, we have characterized the what is this? GDP of the Mysore at national level, then state level, then district level to conurbation level. So the state has contributed roughly around 8% to the national level. The district contributes to 2% in the state level, and the conurbation level has roughly around 50% to the district level. The first pie chart which you can see there, sir, it shows the different contribution of different sectors in the GDP. The maximum is from the services sector. The current GDP of the Mysore is around 28 lakhs 54,000 rupees. Now, so the economic profile has been characterized, divided into the three sectors. First will be the primary sector, the second secondary sector, and the third will be the services sector. In primary sector, we have covered agriculture and horticulture. In secondary sector, we have, sir, industry, trade and commerce. And in services sector, we have tourism. In agriculture sector, sir, in agriculture, we have 130 square kilometers of agriculture area in the conurbation area. That map shows the soil map profile of the Mysore, in which we have concluded that the three major soil types present in the conurbation area are sandy clay loam, sandy clay, and clayey soil. According to that, so the three predominant crops which we can find is in that table. The major crop production is cereal. In cereal, the rice is there, and for plantation crops, we have sugarcane. The majority of the area coverage of different crops, the fruits have the major coverage of the areas. Now, coming to the secondary sector in industries, the industrial profile, the thrust industries present in the area are forest-based and food processing industries. In location quotient, we have done location quotient analysis for industries. The forest-based and food processing industries have the maximum location quotient based on the compared to the state. For employment multipliers, the rubber and plastic industries and leather-based industries contribute to the major employment multipliers in the area. Now, so in trade and commerce, there are 4 wholesale markets present in the conurbation area. In which the major wholesale market is Devraja market. We can infer from the market that the maximum commercial concentration of wholesale markets is in the central place of the MCC area, municipal city council area. 1 minute. So then we have done the catchment analysis of different wholesale markets present in the area. The major coverage of the area is RMC market in the conurbation area, which has the maximum catchment analysis due to the presence of Chamundi Hills in the area. Now, the gap analysis we have done for the wholesale market. In gap analysis, currently we have roughly around 10 lakh population in the conurbation area, and the area required for the wholesale market is 10 hectares, but currently we have existing area is around 5 hectares. So the wholesale market will be proposed in the future proposals. New wholesale market will be proposed. Now coming to the tourism. Now coming to the tourism part, we have 16 major tourist spots in our area. For that we have done the infra gap analysis, infra gap analysis and the carrying capacity analysis for the different tourist spot. In infra gap analysis, we have found out that the Chamundi Hills has the Chamundi Hills and Mysore Zoo has the maximum potential for the tourist spots. We have these tables, sir, you can see. In these tables, sir, we have analyzed the internal potential and external potential of the tourist spot, and we have ranked. We have combined those two potentials, and we have ranked each of the tourist spots based on their potentials. And those are the maps on the left side, which shows the different placements of the tourist spots and their accessibility analysis for the different tourist spots. For carrying capacity analysis, we have found that the Mysore Zoo and Chamundi Hills has the capacity to increase around 40% of the tourist capacity in the upcoming future.
Coming to the environment subsystem, so we have done analysis on green spaces, forest areas, surface water and groundwater. After that, we have done land surface temperature, urban heat island, and air quality index. So coming to the NDVI, in 2001, actually the vegetation was very less. We have done for 2 decades NDVI. So when comparing from 2001 to 2011, the forest and the vegetation had decreased. But because of the initiative taken by MUDA and the forest department, in 2024, the forest coverage has increased. In the graph, you can see that the dense forest has also increased. Then there are 2 types of forest areas in Mysore city. One is dry forest, dry deciduous forest, and the second one is scrub forest. The next analysis which we did was fragmentation analysis. So in this there are 4 categories. One is patch, edge, core, and perforation. So in all these 3 maps you can see in the forest fragmentation. From 2001 to 2024 you can see that on all the 4 parameters it has increased. In that bar graph it is clearly visible that all the 4 parameters has been increased. So this shows that the density of the forest has increased. Then coming to the vegetation classification, as I told earlier, there are 2 types of forests. One is dry deciduous and scrub forest. And there are 2 protected areas inside Mysore conurbation area. One is Chamundi Hills and the other one is Lingambudi Lake and its ecosystem. Coming to the carbon sequestration, we can see that the carbon storage inside the MCC boundary is more because of intensity of built up area. And looking at the carbon sequestration map, we can see that the carbon sequestration around Chamundi Hills and Lingambudi Lake is more. And we have calculated the future carbon sequestration required. It is around 1,78,000 tons deficit for the future. Next one is water bodies. Coming to the existing surface water bodies, there are totally 5 lakes inside the Mysore conurbation area. And first, actually, in 2004, the water quality of all these lakes had decreased. But because of the initiative from the government, all the lakes have been restored, and now the water quality index of all the water bodies has increased, except for Lingambudi Lake, which is an eco-sensitive zone. Coming to the groundwater level, the groundwater level has increased from 2018 to 2023. This would suggest this would mean this is because of the soil characteristics in Mysore city. All the rainfall gets seeped into the soil because of its soil characteristics. Then coming to the groundwater quality index, the groundwater quality index in Mysore city has decreased. There are 5 classes of groundwater quality index. The most which we focused on was the unsuitable parameter. So coming to the unsuitable parameter, we overlaid the groundwater quality index with land use map, and we found out that in unsuitable index, there is more of agricultural land use, industrial land use, and also solid waste management sites. The next analysis which we did was watershed delineation. From this, we were able to get the stream orders. We have classified it into 3 stream orders. Stream order 1, 2, and 3 according to the flow. And there are 2 major watersheds, under which there are 11 sub-watersheds. To understand or to analyze all the stream orders, what we did was we did a concentration index map for built up on these streams, and we found out which all streams are having more number of built up, the concentration of built up. From this, in the table, you can see that about 34 kilometers of the canals have been encroached by built up area. The other map shows the feeder canals leading to the lakes. The next analysis which we carried out was groundwater vulnerability analysis, wherein we took 5 parameters: groundwater level, rainfall, slope, aquifer media, and soil type. We followed the drastic model method, and we found out that the groundwater is most vulnerable in the periphery areas where the agricultural land use is more, and also the soil characteristics is mostly loamy sand and sandy loam. Coming to the land surface temperature, from 2004 to 2024, we can actually see that the land surface temperature has surprisingly reduced. This is because of the initiative by Muda government for increasing the green spaces. And coming to the next analysis which we did, urban heat island. Uh, in urban heat island, we found out that there are not many urban heat island spots inside the city, and only in the periphery we were able to identify the urban heat islands. Coming to the air quality index, the air quality index in Mysore is mostly good and moderate, which comes under the range of 0 to 100. The dominating pollutants are PM10 and O3. Thank you.
Coming to the institution subsystem, we have started with the institutional hierarchy. So we have our conurbation area is in the local planning area of the MUDA, which is the Mysore Urban Development Authority, and also which is headed by the chairperson with the board of committees, and they'll be managing the overseeing the plan growth and development of that area, the local planning area. Then we have the villages in the conurbation and the Gram Panchayat. So that will be administered by the Gram Panchayats and the other higher levels of governance, which is the Taluk Panchayat and the Jilla Panchayat. They'll be looking for the economical planning of these areas. And also then we have the Mysore City Corporation area, Mysore City Corporation, which will be headed by the mayor and the council and the commissioners. So they'll be looking after the planning and implementation of the urban development projects. So then we have analyzed the devolution of municipal functions. So devolution of municipal functions, we all know that the 74th Constitution Amendment, which empowers the lower hierarchy of local self-governing bodies. So 18 functions are there in the devolution of municipal functions. In that, the Mysore City Corporation has the full jurisdiction on only 3 of the functions, and also the 9 of the functions are in the overlapping jurisdiction. So that is mapped like whichever agencies are participating in delivering that functions. Then we have done the municipal revenue and receipts and payment analysis. In that we found out that we have a 14.8% of deficit on the total income in the year of 2021, and also 17.1 surplus on the total income of 21-22, and also the next year, the 22-23, we have got a deficit of to 8.2%. Then we have done the analysis on the financial performance indicators, which is the operating ratio and the capital utilization ratio. So the operating ratio, we have got a value of 0.7 in the 2022-23, and the previous years we got a value of 0.8, and also in the capital utilization ratio we got a rate of 2.17, and also in the previous years it is 1.7 and 1.8. So both of these financial indicator, performance indicator gives a positive trend. And also next we have done the regression analysis on the budget and the population. So it infers that for every 1% increase in the population, there is 0.09% increase in the budget. And then we have done the governance perception index analysis. So governance perception analysis is the perception of the people in the Mysore conurbation area. So they'll be rating how the governance activities are functioning in those areas. So in that we concluded, like we got the inference like there are many scope of improvement in the governance perception analysis. So later we have done the indices. So one is the Praja Urban Governance Index,
So Praja Urban Governance Index, basically it look after the structural aspects of the urban governance. So we got a score of 29.6 upon 100 in the Praja Governance Index. So in this index, we have 4 verticals. One is the empowering city elected representative, empowered city administration, citizens, and fiscal empowerment. So basically, this index calculates how the act, the Karnataka Municipal Corporation Act, empowers the elected representative or the administration to deliver the functions. So in that, this 4 verticals, we have multiple indicators, and we'll be scoring the indicators on this performance of Mysore city. So through that, we'll get an understanding of how this act empowers the people and the administrative system of the Mysore Corporation area. So in that, we found out that Mysore got a score of 29.6 and the highest score in Praja Index is a 56.8. So that shows where we have to improve in the Karnataka Municipal Act. So next we have done the Municipal Performance Index, which is by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So in that we have 5 verticals, which is services, finance, technology, planning, and governance. So in this, the weightages will be given, and under each vertical there are sub verticals. For example, the table shown in the sheet, which is the governance vertical. In the governance vertical, we have to analyze the transparency, accountability, human resource, participation, and effectiveness. So based on the performance of these indicators, we have 100 indicators in the MPI. Based on these performance, we'll be scoring the performance of the corporation area, and we got a score of 55.61, and also we got the least score in the technology, which is 3.33%. Then we have an index, which is a modified index for the conurbation area. As the MPI, which is a Municipal Performance Index, which basically look after the urban governing institution. So in our study area, we have urban and rural institutions, and also we have the MUDA. So how can we modify the index to incorporate the multiple agencies also? So we have the modified index for conurbation area, and we got a score of 47.25 upon 100. In these verticals also, we got a least score in technology, which is 37.91. So when we are comparing all these scores in the MPI, we got to know that the Mysore conurbation area, which is our site area, we got a score of 47.25, and the corporation area we got a 55 score, and the national average is 43.13. So we can identify where are the verticals and indicators we have to improve for the functioning of the corporation and the conurbation area. So later we have identified the issues, and some of the issues are the issues in the implementation of 12th schedule, the 74th constitution amendment, and also the constitution of deliberative committees, and the lack of empowered councils, mayors, and councillors, and also the less e-governance initiatives, digital access and literacy, and also less transparency in governance. Like you have mentioned in the participation of in the planning, that's also a point we were lacking. So now we have done all the subsystem wise analysis. So coming to the identification of potential proposals. So we have these sector wise proposal identified. So these are the broad objectives which we'll be detailing the proposals further. So if I may explain some of them. In physical subsystem, we have the objectives like conservation of agricultural land, developing a growth corridor along the outer ring road, redensification of core areas, proposed land use 2044 and DCR. And in transportation subsystem, we have the new road hierarchy and road widening, promotion of public transportation and non-motorized transportation, location of EV charging stations, decentralized bus terminals. And coming to the institution subsystem, we have given the objectives like guidelines and recommendations for formation of ward committees, e-governance and integration of smart technologies for enhanced efficiency, amendment of the KMC Act, and strengthening of the financial capabilities of ULB. So based on this identified proposal, we have identified the major themes, which are the 5 themes. That is decentralization, smart accessibility, conservation and green, capacity building, and augmentation. So these themes will be linked to some of the proposals in the all subsystem. For example, coming to the decentralization, we have decentralization of bus terminals in the transportation subsystem, and also we have the decentralization by introducing new markets in the economy subsystem. Coming to the conservation and green, we have the proposals like rejuvenation of feeder canals, green infrastructure and urban heat island, conservation of eco-sensitive zones, and afforestation of carbon sequestration. So this way we have identified the key themes. So we would like to develop, based on these key themes, we will be developing the vision statement. That's it about the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this presentation. It's always very interesting to discover a novel city for me. I have been participating in a lot of studio since my fourth session in SPAV, and it has been always a pleasure to see your enthusiasm about collecting data, processing data, formatting data, making this synthesis that usually you present to me in a very short time. That's why it will be very difficult, as I have already informed other groups in the previous year, that I'm not able, of course, to digest so many information in very short time like this. So usually I have some small remark to share with you. Basically, some of these remarks are more on a technical point of view about the way you have communicate your information about mapping or about graphics or about things like this. About the main content of your work, of course, the result of your work depends upon what has been asked to you to produce. In the sense that it's normal, you have a curriculum, you have to go through some steps, and at the end, you have to fulfill these requirements. So I will not discuss about the requirements. I will just make some remarks about what to do with all these materials that you have given. My first remarks will be about the last slide, 18, something like this. Last slide. Usually I have already made the same remarks in previous years. Your recommendations are not exactly recommendation in the sense that it keeps to be very general. For example, you say we need to improve waste management, or we need, but maybe but this we will have to discuss with your professor about if you could illustrate each of these points with one very practical solution. Because I think that for you, this time in Mysore was your first experiment as a expert. So, but you may have gathered from your fieldwork some feeling about how this city is different from, of course, for example, Vijayawada, or for the city where you grown up. So you start to make some kind of comparison between your feeling on what you have measured. Of course, feeling is not enough to make a scientific study, but it can help to have some reaction. So, of course, we need to go further this list of, I will not say proposal, but I will say direction, or to make it more concrete and real for the inhabitants of Mysore. So, some of your slides are, there is too much information on it. That's why it's very difficult to digest for me, all this, because you have so many things. So I will need to go through each one and to make some remarks. Take care at least that these are only slides, or you are in the previous year it was print in art format, so it's still print, or okay. So my remark will still be useful in the sense that sometimes you want to put too much information. So it's becoming very difficult to analyze. And each time you want to make something, you have always to have in mind who is going to see your graphic, or so keep in mind that sometimes it's better to put less, but at least what you put inside is more understandable or readable. So, for example, in some slide, the maps were too small. There is one very interesting matrix for the tourism slide, but it's so small that it's impossible to. So keep always this in mind. Is it readable? And because don't need to make so much, to put so much things inside. This is more my point of view as a semiologist, mapper, that I have in mind. Even though you have built 20 maps, sometimes you just select 4, it's enough for your purpose. So keep this in mind. I have, by the way, I have a lot of questions, because I have heard so many things, so I make some remarks when listening to your presentation. I was surprised, for example, at the beginning about transport, to see that road density is higher in the periphery. It looks like very surprising, because usually road density is higher at the core center of the city. So maybe you are right, but for example, this kind of information, I say yes, what it means. So I will need to have the detail of how you calculate the index. If there is no mistake, I think there is no mistake, because it has been already checked by your supervisor. but just to understand why we have this kind of result. So road capacity, road density. Yes, there is in this same slide the desire line diagram. Desire line. So I will be very happy to know more about this, because this word is used in geography in a different perspective. So I will be happy to have more about this. I have seen also a map of pedestrian networks in the city center. And usually in India, it's always very difficult to go by walk. So I will be happy to know how you are able to evaluate or measure this pedestrian index or maps. Yes. For the physical infrastructure, you speak about toilets and so you say there is one mission in India, Swachh Bharat, and the goal is 100%. So you say in your discourse, we need to rectify to attain the goal of 100%. That's what it means. How it has been measured, all these things, you need to have a critical analysis of variables. I put my finger on this topic because it is a very political topic. So it means that, of course, for this kind of topic, it's more difficult to have good information, because if it is only to build a toilet, but the question is, who is using it? How many times is it? It has been implemented in. Is it really in usage or so? But these topics are very sensitive, so it's maybe not easy to have the good information, unless you have done your own survey. I don't know. You don't tell me if it was your inquiry or data that you have collected at the world level or something like this. What was the level for this data? What was the source of the data for percentage of usage of toilets and all these things? Yes, so our own survey, when you say this, it is your survey. Okay, so it's first on data. Okay, that is okay. Plutôt que yes. After with education, we have some maps, and you use a buffer to analyze the accessibility of this infrastructure. I think that it was too small that I'm not able to have the details, but of course, if you put 15 minutes or 10 minutes to go to school, it's a standardized measurement. It's interesting. but you can't use it for all the level. Maybe I make a mistake. I have seen it looked like same for primary, high school, college, and also it must be a change, maybe a little bit. I don't know. And after, I have seen the same buffer analysis for other type of facilities like hospital, and so I think that in VR, so I need to know your methodology, but maybe it will not fit for all kind of infrastructure. For example, when you go to an hospital, generally it's because you are not very well, so you can't use workability or things like this to compare. So maybe it must be a little bit change. So I was very happy to see that for MISO, the index for environment are in a good direction. The cover, forest cover is better, and so it's a good news for us. You made some map at the watershed level. So I have a discussion with you about watershed, one river RR. I don't know if it is relevant to make a map at watershed level. Why not? For some specific data, it's good, but it depends upon the kind of data you put inside, because it looks like that it's quite large. So maybe it must be subdivided in a more smaller scale. We'll see. Yeah. Yes. So. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. On to end my remarks, there are less questions than remarks about institution in MISO. I'm very well interested in your data because you try to follow what is a governance model for MISO. And so you ask some question about open data portal, all of these things. So it's very important already to have this kind of information. In my perspective of studying smart city, have you been a little bit beyond the fact that they open a portal, but what is the usage of the portal, how many people interact with the portal, what kind of processing they have done with the data, all this kind of question. I don't know if you have time to inquire about this, but it will be very interesting to also to go in this direction. And also, in the same perspective, you make a full description of each level of governance. I've not heard about how many times, for example, you have a meeting of each institution. Have they been able to have all this election, and after the election, how many meetings? So to see if it is a democracy running and working well. So it may be also helpful to combine not only the fact that you have one government body, but how many times is working and well or not, and all these things. So it was, I think, based your satisfaction index was based on a household survey. Yeah, yes. Okay. 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 So it's the first step. You, of course, later on you need to go beyond to see what is the usage of the portal and all these things. So it's of course when you make the first level study, you have to stop at a certain point. But in my perspective, it was interesting to know more about this. So yes, that's all for me.
So to wrap up the session, so very much thankful to Professor Eric for being patient.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Selective analysis.
Detailed work post lunch. Yeah. Yeah.
And definitely can that for that.
Yeah.
So very much thankful for that. One important takeaway that for myself, I take away from it was that it is very important to visualize was very about as vision. Until we visualize it correctly now, proper. So it's important that we visualize beta level or max level or different things. Important that we understand visualize then possibly come up with. Okay, so to a certain extent, a part of visualize it to a certain goods and marks forward for you the workshop that has been done and further it price for development. So we'll break here, right? Here and again more long. Okay. So where we'll have a workshop with Professor developing a vision. But we have developed a vision. So we have a hands-on we have discussion on possible and can be final vision for our right. And starting the presentation of the learning. Got some amount of learning from so take the same kind of exercise I think that you know what is going to happen. We'll make it in 3 4 and 2 o'clock.